Hey, yo! Let me talk to you! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, and what can we tell you? This is the Other Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for information, news, and rumors about the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Tim. I am joined today by my brothers in podcasting. Jeremy, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, doing well.
Very good. And Dave Scooby, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Good, good. Well, we're back after a week off. I selfishly took a vacation week. I've learned my lesson after the beatings that have ensued upon my return. But we're back. We're going to be looking at USA and Power recaps. You know, the OG Alliance guys may or may not be on tomorrow. We don't know at this point. Jay took the pre-party off yesterday and kindly handed me the reins there. So we're actually going to be talking a little bit more about Power than we normally would. We're going to deep dive into both USA and Power for the bulk of our show. Jeremy's going to give us the UWN Championship Wrestling recaps. We got a This is Awesome, You Effed Up segment this time around where we're going to talk about an upside to the strange effects of TV tapings happening all at once, which when it gets closer to a pay-per-view isn't always that good. But in this particular case, this time around, there's a positive effect from it. And Dave's going to be doing some fantasy booking around Velvet Sky or Tim Storm's title shot, which we'll talk about. That was a major thing to happen this week. But let's start off with NWA USA recap. It's season 3, episode 8 from August 13th. It starts off nice cold open with the Country Gentlemen versus the Now. You know what? Let me go right here. Lamb is on the chat right now. If you're in the chat, please say hi. I am a Lamb Sun Vu guy. I know where to get that T-shirt now, so won't be long. Limited quantities on those. The Country Gentlemen versus the Now. So we've seen the Country Gentlemen for quite some time now. That's Kazana and Andrews, and we have just started seeing the Now, Vic Delicious and Hale Collins, coming in to the NWA. You know, Kazana and Andrews, they're where they are on the card, and the Now obviously has to be showcased for a time. And this is a good match to start us off. We got Kazana and Andrews, early control on Vic Delicious. There's some good tag team moves between the two. The Now take over with that welcome to the Now, that finisher move. It's kind of difficult to describe, but Hale Collins, I think, kind of lays someone across his knees back first, and the other does a sweet move from on high. I like that move. They do a great job in keeping Andrews separated until there's a sort of a screw up on a senton, and it gives the gentleman a chance. Ends up with a double hot tag that Kazana takes advantage of. There's a strange pin attempt on the wrong man and some mix-up, but Kazana pins Hale Collins with a belly-to-belly clean in the middle of the ring. I was surprised. Jeremy, what did you think of this one?
This was a good, hard-hitting match. We got to see the Now a while back. I believe it was at last year's Crockett Cup, or it may have been this year's. But they're a good, solid team. They are a very well-oiled machine. I enjoy the Country Gentlemen. They're both two big brawlers. Anthony Andrews if I remember correctly, he took it to our champion a couple weeks back and had a good outing there. So it's I'm glad to see both of them here, and I hope we get to see more.
Dave, you fans of the Now?
I'm fans of both teams in that they are actually teams. They work well together, and they're not thrown together. And I realize being a few weeks away from them going for, both teams are in the battle royal for the U.S. tag belts.
Right.
Building them up, whether they win or not, it's good for them, building them up, giving them a chance to either go for the titles if they don't win them outright, that you already have a built-up rivalry.
Yeah, and I was surprised, like I say, to see the country gentlemen over. They've largely been enhancement talent. But hey, it's sort of, you pay your dues in the NWA when you're an incoming wrestler or team, and everyone in their debut seems to lose. This is pretty close to the Now's debut, but it made me think of you remember a few years back when the wild cards were formed up at the Crockett Cup. I want to say 2020. Hey, there you go. He got the wild card shirt on. I'm like, what is Jeremy doing right now? Yeah, but when they formed up and they went the distance, and they came out of it not winning, but or did they win that? No, they didn't. Did they win that the titles? No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
PCO and
PCO and Brody King. Yeah, but they ended up taking those titles down the road because they were instantly a credible team. So that's what it kind of reminded of. Devin's here. Devin Dowling. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for being here. And the boss, the omniscient boss, is always watching. How are you, Jay? I hope you're doing well. They lost to the finals. Yep. Yeah, we remembered. My memory as I get older is just terrible, I'll tell you. So there you go. Country gentlemen over the Now in NWA USA, the opener. We get Kyle Davis with Wrecking Ball Legursky. Jay Bradley still out with elephantitis, I think he calls it, of the inner thigh. Using his fixer cream to heal up. The conversation, Kyle basically says, all right, so what's next while Jay's out? And Wrecking Ball says, just beating people up and getting paid for it. Kyle says, well, can I hire you? And, Legursky just sort of says, sure, how much? And then it kind of stalls and gets awkward, and I guess there's no point to it for me, but humor and time filling. Dave, what did you think?
I always get a kick out of Wrecking Ball. He's the highlight of most of the shows, and when I see him, I brings a smile to my face, but a lot of it is also eye rolling. So it's good and bad at the same time. They need to pick and choose how they present certain characters, and I'll get into it a little later down the line in USA programming.
Right. I think I know where you're going there. Jeremy, what do you think of Wrecking Ball without Jay Bradley around? Is he still fun and entertaining for you?
I'm kind of in the same boat with Dave on this. It is fun and it is entertaining, but at the same time, it's eye rolling as well. It feels a lot like filler to me. Let's get the guy on the screen for a minute. We've got 5 minutes. We've got 3 to 5 minutes that we need to fill up. So
he's for me. I was just thinking now the Alec Baldwin of the NWA, and what I mean is he's a great character actor. I love him in the background as the guy over the shoulder of the main guy, just phenomenal. On his own, I don't know. It is what it is. You get May with Kerry Morton. and it may have been somewhat inconsistent as we've been talking about these past few weeks about the direction they seem to be, well, directing her. She asked Kerry Morton, "What do you truly feel about Colby Carino?" So this seems to be the more serious May. He talks about how they used to play together as kids in the ring, and I kind of wish they'd played that more up in the past between the two. But he doesn't necessarily like him now, and he's just getting started with this feud. He says he uses the word feud, which is not a no to me, but I just haven't heard it in pro wrestling for so long. It stuck out in my mind. But he says basically that his dad, Ricky, and he have beaten the Fixers. It's in the past. The future's the World Junior title. And I couldn't help think, Jeremy, that the TV taping schedule that we talk about, where it's all kind of done up front, and then you got to peter it out to the end, that this is sort of a side effect of that, where he could be filmed right now saying, hey, at this point in the continuity time chain of the NWA universe, I'm focused on Homicide. It should be about Homicide and that title, and not what's happened weeks ago. What did you think of this interview?
It was a good interview. The kids, Kerry's a natural, but again, continuity is the NWA's worst enemy, and I agree that this should have been focused more towards his bout coming up with Homicide.
Yeah. Dave, what's the upside? What's the limit for Kerry Morton for you? Do you think the sky's the limit, or is there a ceiling on it?
I could see him possibly going junior and TV, since, his dad, you have to go with history. His dad had that junior heavyweight title multiple times.
Right.
Besides being a great tag wrestler. And I think why they're still pushing Colby and Kerry, even though Kerry is going for the junior heavyweight, is because of who their fathers are. That they're trying to do, the second/third generation wrestlers. Maybe a story of him with Steve knowing the father and the sins of the father versus the sins of the son.
Yeah.
That they may be taking it that way. That down the line, Colby has already had his chance at the junior heavyweight, and he lost. So if Kerry takes it, you can reignite that flame. They're already in a storyline together. If Kerry wins, now it's for the title.
Right. And they've done a Carino, 2 generations of Carino storyline. They maybe less than a year ago. I want to say less than a year ago. They had a match between Colby and Steve. So, and that was like Crystal. I can't remember the name of the independent. Somewhere in, I want to say, South Carolina. But and it was interesting. There were cool vignettes with Alice in Danger, Colby's aunt in it, and and his dad. So it would be a real kick for me, just being a massive Steve Carino fan, probably the biggest one I know anyway. For he and his son to get together and do something, whether on the same side or otherwise. We get, by the way, you apparently have to have a crappy memory to be part of the Alliance Wrestling.com family. Lamb is in the same boat. I don't know what it is. It's just, maybe it is the pandemic. Jamie Stanley's got a segment next. He's up with May and Aaron. So it's very much a Stanley's drill type situation. Does Aaron think he's better than than me? Can Aaron button his shirt up? Aaron sort of quipping back, "You look like the illegitimate son of Billy Idol and Jimmy Buffett," to Stanley. But his questions are funny. We've heard him kind of before. How does it feel to be near me? And why do you think you can do me better than me? And it seems somewhat purposeless for me, this segment, unless Stanley continues to wrestle his his guest, Dave, like he did Mercurio a couple of weeks back. Your thoughts?
It's, I wouldn't say boggling, but I'm just wondering where they're going.
Yeah.
Stanley is a very good wrestler. I've watched some of his stuff online. And I mean, he can talk, but he's sort of lost now that he's not in the Rude Dudes, that they're not tagging together.
Right.
And I think they just gave him this Stanley's Drill little talk show interview segment because he's already there. He wrestled, I think, once or twice, and that's it. I'm not sure if they've shown them both, but
yeah,
they need to figure out what to do with him. Give him a path to go down.
Jeremy, I just kind of assumed that he was injured. And they're like, he's funny, he can talk. Let's give him a segment and just fill some airtime with it. But I also kind of wonder if can't we be filling some of this airtime with something that is going somewhere?
Well, when you consider that USA was 23 minutes and some change long, we probably could have. But I say we in the universal we, as if we're actually sitting there at the board table and have some input in this. It'd be great. There'd be better continuity, I feel. But I think it's given him an opportunity to present his personality without El Rudo next to him. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just because El Rudo was booked, had bookings elsewhere, and like you guys said, Stanley was already there, so let's do this for him. It would be interesting if it did lead up to like a Piper's Pit type thing, to where every guest that he had on there ended up getting into the ring with. I loved Aaron in it. The man is so quick. I'm interested with what they're doing with Jamie Stanley. I'm not sure if this is the right path for him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what comes out of it. It's just so hard to see what that is right now.
Right.
And Lamb says, I don't get what Aaron's doing in the NWA. He's a manager for Rodney Mack, but also has this relationship with May. Yeah, so get this, Lamb. He's a manager for Rodney Mack, sort of, kind of, although he looked more managerial this week than he has in previous weeks. He's in a relationship with May, but May is infatuated with Tyrus. It's all part of our new NWA series I like to call As the Stomach Turns, because I do not understand what's going on.
But she was also gushing quite vividly over Aaron during this segment as well. So again, continuity.
I mean, as we'll see in later on, I think in Power, there will be a segment that has Tyrus in the ring with Aaron Stevens. So I didn't think of this before you just said that, but maybe Maze is going to end up as a centerpiece between those two down the road. I don't know. What do we get next? We had a replay of May with Murdoch, and then Murdoch versus Pope to that double count out on Power last week. But then we got to get to this match. This is VSK versus Ricky Morton. And I'm rubbing my head because of so many different reasons, but I'll pitch it to you guys first after we look at it. VSK starts this match. He's taunting and disrespecting Ricky. He's beating him up as the fans are chanting rock and roll, rock and roll. So Ricky's all beat up. I didn't go back and watch it because I couldn't bring myself to do it. But he hits one move, the Canadian Destroyer, which, by the way, is, as I'm sure everybody knows, is a move that is executed by the person it's happening to. VSK does an admirable job of doing this move and making Ricky look like $1 million. One move, Canadian Destroyer down for the count, 1, 2, 3. At the end of the match, Mike Knox comes out with a plastic table, and I thought, no one's going through that. Kerry comes out as he's apparently going. Ricky's going to be chokeslammed over the top rope into this thing, and kind of holds the chair while Mike Knox looks at him warily and slowly gets out of the ring. Everything about this match made me cringe. But Dave, I'm going to go to you first, and you tell us your thoughts on this.
It's the way the match was put there. I mean, granted, you have Ricky. He's just, I don't mind him on the outside, but they need to keep him out of the ring. If they're going to build up other talent, he can assist Kerry at times, but they need to keep Ricky out of the ring. Granted, he gets a response. The crowd was chanting rock and roll, but to me, it doesn't fly. This match was set up for the tables down the line. And when I saw him bring the table out, I'm like, but that's a plastic table. Nothing is going to happen if you try to choke slam him through it. It's little details like that. If they wanted to stretch it out, have him come out and get a table from underneath, a wooden table, set it up, go that route. But to me, I mean, it's furthering a story, but they did it very poorly.
Jeremy, did it bug you at all that VSK was? I mean, I don't care that he's beaten by Ricky Morton. Ricky won the week before too on against Legursky, but that he gets one move and VSK is down and out, and it's Ricky Morton with the win. Then, what did you think of this fight? What did you think of that?
The one move was very bothersome to me. I get that they're trying to kind of sell the cagey old veteran that still has a few tricks up his sleeve, and you know that should be losing every match, but just squeaks it in. I don't want to see it. I don't know what this is potentially building up to, but it's not something that I want to see at all.
You know, for me, VSK, and I'm sure for everybody, he's the quote unquote weakest guy in the Cardona family, but he's at least the first guy you got to go through if you were going through the Cardona family, I would think. But he's still a member of the Cardona family. It's like saying, this is an unfair comparison for him, but it's kind of like saying, well, before you get to Ric Flair, you're going to go through, Tully Blanchard as the first person in the Horseman, right? He's that guy. I don't care. Tully's still a Horseman, right?
Yep.
That's good. That's a bad comparison because Tully was amazing on his own too, but
that's what the Cardonas are being presented as,
right,
as the top stable of the company.
He's a he's a quality wrestler, VSK. He's really, really good, and to sacrifice him in this fashion. Again, I don't care that he got beat. That's pro wrestling. Guys get beat all the time. You do what's right for the match. How did he get beat with a Canadian Destroyer in one move? It seemed damaging to VSK for me, and I did not care for this. I would not. I'm not a booker. Never have been. Never will be. But I would not sacrifice a young talent like VSK for the sake of Ricky Morton.
I mean, as much as I hate it, a low blow, just a quick low blow while the ref wasn't looking, even if it's Morton doing it and it's a heelish move, it still fits in with that cagey old veteran, getting that win in. So it would have fit in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would have made the Canadian Destroyer plausible as the pinning move.
Yeah, and that move was fun when it was first, brought up by the first guy I saw that Williams, right?
Petey Williams.
Petey Williams, yeah, that was fun. But I mean,
It's the new tope suicida now.
yeah, that's right. It is like for me, other than the heart punch, it's the worst move in pro wrestling. But anyway, so that bugged me for USA, but it was mercifully the end of USA this week. However, NWA Power certainly had a twist as we went along. But season 9, episode 10 from the 16th, yesterday, also started with these great. Again, love the cold open as they call them. There's just go right into the match and get you involved. Blaze and Riley versus Angelina Love and Chelsea Green. For me, Messy, not I've seen greater work out of all of them. Riley and Green I thought were the best, but Green and Love pin Riley after the sort of an assisted double team Botox injection by Angelina Love. Jeremy, your thoughts on this ladies tag team match?
It was what it was. I'm with you in the same that Riley and Angelina Love were better than Chelsea and Paola in this.
Yeah.
I know that Paola hasn't been doing this very long. My son's fiance is familiar with her from her reality show, the 90 Day Fiance, I think it was, or something like that. Or
That's the one.
yeah, she was familiar with her from that. She was surprised to see her in wrestling, but then whenever she saw her gimmick, she understood it. Again, like I said, it was what it was.
I was trying to find her account just now. I can't see it, but I thought she had like 1.5 million followers. I'm kind of wondering, maybe we could do something more with her, Dave, and have her stand on the outside doing Instagram live feed.
Yeah,
that was funny once, I guess to a certain degree. But what did you think?
Well, watching it wasn't all bad, but I thought they had the teams. They could have switched them around, have a veteran with a rookie. More or less, they could work together better and make each other shine.
Right.
And I mean, Riley, I was just watching her, and I mean, granted, she doesn't have the best moves. They aren't all crisp, but her facials, she reacts. When somebody puts a armbar on her, she reacts. Ow, that hurt. Why are you doing that? She's starting from the bottom as a quote-unquote enhancement talent, but she is getting experience. And the only thing, like I said, I would have switched them around. Have a rookie with a veteran.
Right.
Just so you get twice the work out of them as they learn while they're on the job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Hopefully they'll figure it out in the near future.
and it was odd to see them pair up Angelina Love with Chelsea Green, being as Angelina and Velvet have a history, and Velvet just vehemently hates the Cardona family. And it kind of makes me wonder if that's not, with what goes on later on, doesn't help build something up there.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. That's a good point. Willie's in the house. Willie, I trust Willie that you will have a nice, fresh, pun intended, big fat Tyrus joke already queued up for the end of the show. So here's maybe my favorite segment of the week coming up next. It's Kyle Davis with Jeremiah Plunkett.
Yes.
Yes.
So Plunkett calls out Rush Freeman and says, "Hey, the ill-begotten boys, we are tighter than tight. We are family, and you're fired. You are so fired right now. And we have recruited. Here he is, Brady Pierce. So Brady Pierce, we kind of saw a couple weeks ago. Sort of, I don't know if he was making his debut then, but uh, that may have been the case. I don't recall him beforehand. He looks great. He wrestles well, and you know, here what made me laugh was the stuff that was kind of off mic around this segment. So he says, you know, it's Brady Pierce, and then someone off mic you hear go, who?
Yeah.
You know, and Brady can wrestle. Brady's better looking. Jeremiah says, you know, he's smarter than you. He can read. And Rush Freeman's like, I have a master's degree. It's just, I just thought it was hilarious. But Pierce comes out and says, wait a minute, you told me he was already out. And, you know, if this is the kind of family that I'm supposed to be joining, then I'm out. In fact, he's the best part of the, you know, the ill-begotten boys. And they kind of, if you saw the graphic Jeremy created for us this week, the Step Brothers graphic, you know, they're suddenly best friends. They're like, do you like Dos Equis? I like Dos Equis. Let's go get a beer. And with Jeremiah Plunkett going, what just happened? Kyle Davis goes, you just ruined your group. It made me laugh. Legit. Jeremy, did you like this segment?
I loved it. I loved it. Getting kicked out of your own band and replaced, and then the replacement saying, screw you guys, I don't want to play with you if this is how you operate. Yeah, I really want to see a Brady Pierce Rush Freeman tag team now as well. And everything that Brady Pierce said was true. You know, Rush is the standout of that. Nothing against Plunkett, love Plunkett. You know, and Alex Taylor is great, but Rush Freeman is the standout in that group. He's the one that you build a stable around. You know, if you're going to build a stable, it was spot on, and the high five. As soon as I seen that, that's the thumbnail right there.
Yeah, for sure. Dave, you were nodding during there's a tag team being put together here, probably, I would think, for the U.S. tag. But what did you think?
I think it's good that they're separating them out and building a new tag team. Fingers crossed. And then I mean, you got some big boys there, and I mean, I can see them down the line, if they work well together, possibly going after the U.S. titles.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, nothing against Danny Deals, but I was glad he was not involved in this segment. It gave you a chance to see Jeremiah, know that Jeremiah can talk.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've met Jeremiah, and I mean, I just told him I enjoyed what he did. And I'm glad that he's getting exposure through the NWA. But I mean, it's building people that you see but don't always hear.
Right. And Danny Deals.
Now you know they have a personality. And I mean, just like it was weeks back when they were interviewing the ill-begotten, and they went to go interview Alex, and they're like, and what do you have to say about that? And they stuck a mic in his face, and he's like, well, and it's almost like he was either camera shy or just didn't know what to say. That he plays a good game of, yeah, I'm the man, but when it comes to it, he didn't know how to respond.
Right.
That down the line, hopefully they'll do the same thing with Alex, and he'll be able to come out of his shell, and they won't have to always rely on Danny Deals.
And he chews up a lot of scenery too.
Overall, it was a it was a good segment, and it built a new tag team. Hopefully,
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're really right on the deals thing. That guy really kind of swallows up a lot of the oxygen in any particular scene that he's in, just because he's so gregarious. He's so flamboyant, and having Jeremiah do it, where he's so comfortable on the mic, it kind of possibly sets up something down the road too, where Deals goes to plunk it. Like, what did you do? You wrecked the group. Like, this is all your fault now. Who knows, right? So it was good. Willie's first Tyrus joke is in. The next time Hollywood makes another Blob movie, Tyrus would be great in that role. So we go on to another segment made with Chris Silvio. There's an announcement. Dane doesn't need to defend until the 74th anniversary because he's the best of all time. I think we already heard this announcement a couple of weeks ago. But so May's like, okay, why are you telling us this? And he's like, I kind of like hanging out with you. Short segment, sweet. I didn't really see the point. We've been here before with the same message from Silvio, and Dane always fights anyway. Dave, your thoughts?
Really no thought on it. I mean, to me, it wasn't. It's just wasted time. They could have done something else.
Yeah. Jeremy, I assume you agree when you're nodding.
Ditto.
Yeah.
It was pointless.
We'll move on. We got to have some kind of hand signal, like swing and a miss. Yeah, it's a little outside. But we go on to Tim Storm, who's back in action, and he's facing Larry D. So Larry D's I don't know, at least 10 or 20 years in this business, something like that. He's an Impact guy. He's a journeyman. It seems to start off on the friendly side, but it quickly becomes a fight. This guy, I was saying yesterday on the pre-party, he is 6 feet tall, but he's 330 pounds. He looks like an icebox, man. Like he's just, he reminds me of Kratos, but bigger, So, or thicker anyway. He's very aggressive for this. He gets some good heel offense on Storm, but kind of out of nowhere and perhaps not unexpectedly, he eats a perfect Storm and gets beat in the center of the ring. Afterwards, however, Velvet calls Tim Storm over. And at this point, I was, kind of getting ready, I don't know, go to the washroom or something. And I kind of stopped because I was thinking, is she doing what I think she's doing? And lo and behold, Jeremy, she is doing it. She says, Tim, you're a great friend. I love you as a colleague and friend and confidant. I want you to have the title shot that I won as part of Team Pope and Velvet back in the championship series. And Storm kind of has it. It's difficult to tell his reaction. He's shocked and amazed, and it looks like he doesn't know what to say. What did you think of this shocking turn that Tim Storm now has the title shot from Velvet, Jeremy?
It took this long for the NWA to get me to like Velvet Scott.
Yeah.
No, it did, but this was a heartstrings puller. I'm going to put it right out there. It brought a tear to my old eye. Tim sat back and took the, not being able to challenge for the belt and everything in stride and everything. If he's coming back, this is the proper way to do it. I feel, to go after the title. Win, lose, or draw, he still comes out looking like a champ to the NWA crowd, unless he does a little turn like he did and gets a little dirty.
Yeah. Like a little tear to your eyes, you said the NWA has to work very hard these days to get me to have goosebumps. I legit got goosebumps on my arm. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a great moment for them right now. Doty's here. He says it's always great to see Tim Storm every time he steps into an NWA ring. feels more better when he's booked against a big dude like Larry D.
Right.
There's a big dude named the Bodyguard who has a career history a bit like Tim. It's already in his 50s. Start his career a bit late in life. I want to see Tim Storm versus the Bodyguard. Yeah, I like that big man fight. Dave, I know you're going to talk about this in more detail in a couple of minutes around this title shot, but your thoughts around this as it happened on the show.
Well, my thought, I mean, I'm glad it happened, but I'm wondering if they're doing this to circumvent the Aldous situation. Tim has so much history with the NWA. When Billy bought it, he was the champion. A few weeks ago, when Angelina Love was having a match and then walked away from the match and walked away from Velvet, I was wondering, I'm like, is something up? My thought was, oh, she's going to pass along a chance to go for the title against Camille to Angelina.
Yeah.
Here's my ticket. We're besties. We're the beautiful people. I can't wrestle. You can. Tag, you're it.
Right.
And when Angelina crawled away, I was like, wow, they still have that in the back pocket. I'm wondering what's going to happen with it now. Well, now we see. And I mean, when Tim is not in the booth, Velvet seems to do better.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
That she has to do her job. She doesn't have to, she can't rely on, oh, I'm the third person. Number one and number two have it. I can say this or say that about the Cardonas, or don't mention that name, or don't do this, or don't do this. Now she has to work.
That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought of that, but all I kind of think when it comes around Velvet, largely, like a lot of us, is just like, well, she wasn't so terrible this week. She was actually pretty decent this week. Overall. Maybe you're right. With if Storm's not there, maybe she gets better. I had thought that she at some point at like 74. My guess was going to be that something happened. You know, we with the Pope. Maybe one more thing with the Pope and Trevor, and the Pope gets into some kind of situation where he's tired of Murdoch and he's frustrated about almost being, pile driven on the floor recently. And Velvet, who was his partner in that team of the championship series, says, you know what, man, you're going to take that shot on the end of night one versus Trevor Murdoch. But clearly that is not the way the NWA was thinking. I liked the segment. It was good. It was the highlight for the NWA for a couple of weeks now, I think. We do get Camille with Camille versus Haley Shadows. Haley Shadows, I looked up yesterday. She has a few years under her belt. She's been an Emerge champion, I think, is what it was. But basically, this is a squash. But Shadows does get a 2 count on the most dominant champion the NWA has after an enziguri that lands pretty solidly. But Camille hits a Finley roll and the spear to win. Jeremy, your thoughts on Camille versus Haley Shadows?
This was a good debuting for Shadows. As we've stated earlier, it's pretty much par for the course. If you're debuting in the NWA, you're going to take the 3 count. I was surprised that she got the 2 count that she did, because it was a long 2 count on that. I almost got the 3 if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I was kind of surprised with that. Overall, it was what it was. It was a squash match, what it was supposed to be. But again, we're starting to see some depth in the roster, hopefully. So this is a good addition, I feel.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about that after the UWN recaps in a moment as well, and that depth and how it's changing. But we get May, for the sake of time, May versus Rolando, versus May Valentine versus Rolando. No, with Rolando. Jeremy's like, go through, but I'll give Dave a chance to. The IBB are on his whiteboard, which is a strange thing that I've never heard that expression. So's Trevor Murdoch. He's coming for Trevor. He's dressed like a guy who's cosplaying one of the Fantastics at the time, by the way. I tried not to laugh too hard overall, but Dave, your thoughts. We'll go to you here on Rolando Freeman.
Well, he's there. They've used it in the past. Build up his match with Trevor just so Trevor can squash the Oompa Loompa and be done with it.
I assume that's all it is. Like at 74, maybe he stalks him night one, right? Then night two comes out, and Trevor goes, "You know what? Get in the ring, ring the bell, choke slam, goodbye." Like, who's next? It's got to be something like that, right? It can't be anything more than that. But yes, we will continue on with Rolando, and we will go to Jesus at the podium, Black Jesus at the podium with Kyle Davis. He says he's here for success, but the NWA put him in a match tonight with Rodney Mack, and he has no idea why. So Rodney comes out and he says, "You're scared, and if you're scared, you should say that you're scared." And he walks into the ring, and Jeez doesn't really say much. But the match does start when Jeez heads to the ring. Mac's very aggressive. Jeez is largely flattened for most of this stuff. He does get some offense with a drop kick off the top at one point. But this is really played to show how Mac is pretty dominant. There's some, the top. So Tyrus comes out as well. Aaron Stevens is there with Rodney Mack. Tyrus comes out for G's. And there is a top rope drop kick after some rather ineffective strikes on Mac. But Mac just clamps on the euthanizer and gets it clean. G's taps out. After the match, G's drop kicks Mac from behind. Aaron Stevens comes into the ring and kind of attacks G's, laying in stomps, yelling at him. Tyrus climbs into the ring. And it was fine for me so far until they did this kind of, I don't know, Looney Tunes reminiscent spot where Aaron Stevens backs up Jeremy into Tyrus and kind of gives that, "oh no, he's standing there" look on his face. It's one of those cliche, "he's right behind me right now" moments, isn't he? And Tyrus screams, and Aaron does the comedy bit and rolls out and flees and grabs the chair, and that's the end of the show. What did you think of this whole thing on the whole?
If Rodney Mack came up to me and said, "Say you're scared," I'm going to tell him I'm scared. That is a very intimidating individual. So I got to give Black G's props for shutting his mouth and climbing in the ring.
Yeah.
Bigger guy than I am, even though he's not a bigger guy than I am. But the ending, that whole, it's so old. It's played out. It's another Tope Suicida thing. How did you not know Tyrus got in the ring?
Yeah.
We see how much play that ring has. How did you not know Tyrus got in the ring? But
I mean, Stevens is campy. He always has been, all the way back with in the NWA with the question mark. It was over the top and silly, but I thought he was kind of on a bit of a creepier, funnier, stranger path where
this was too on the nose.
Yeah. Dave, what did you think of this match and the ending as well?
The match overall was good. I like the aggressiveness of both wrestlers. I think they could build. I mean, Rodney is there because Jazz is there. But I mean, for a 50-year-old guy, he can still go in the ring. Yeah. And I mean, this goes back to, I think the Casey Rocks, where Aaron was with Casey Rocks and G's comes in and yeah, that's the guy. And it was that backstage where he was like, Aaron's just trying to help out all these different people. Oh, he has a relationship with May. He's trying to help out. He's a manager type to Rodney Mack. He's trying to help out this guy that he ended up beating up a couple weeks earlier.
Right.
His character is so everywhere, but they're slowly bringing it all together with G's wrestling somebody in being Rodney Mack that, oh, he's involved with Aaron. Aaron brings everybody together in this storyline. So I don't know where they're going to go with Tyrus and the TV championship, but I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Rodney Mack as TV champion, giving him 6 or 7 matches. Oh, that's another set of tapings, maybe 2, and a chance for him to work with some more up-and-coming talent. Whether they win or lose, they improve because they're working with him.
Yeah, man, you're bang on. You know, and the way they presented him in this match, being fairly dominant over Black G's, who's, you know, portrayed as a mid to undercard talent, but still one who's dangerous, really kind of demonstrates that, you know, what we're supposed to look for in Rodney Mack, which is not to say, look, the three of us together should all still be afraid of Rodney Mack, but the three of us together should also be afraid of Black G's. We can't take that guy. That's the thing. So yeah, it was definitely interesting, and I think you're right. I think that Aaron does bring everything together here, or maybe May does. If it ends up with a Tyrus, Aaron Stevens, or Aaron Stevens champion in this particular case, if he's not wrestling anymore in the road, with something to do with May. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But that was Power for this particular week. So let's go now to the UWN results recap with Jeremy. What happened in the world of championship wrestling this week, my friend?
All right, we're starting off with championship wrestling from Memphis. And we start off with Dustin Starr speaking with Zicky Dice. Zicky is looking for a worthy opponent, and Zay Washington is who Zicky has his eye on. So he calls Zay out from the back and offers him a title shot. Zay accepts. We get that later on in the show. That's our main event. And then Mike Anthony comes out, our Memphis Heritage champion. And as the champ, it's his show, and he doesn't have to pay anyone because he's respected. So he didn't have to pay Money Mike or Money Mark and his guys to jump the gun show because he's respected, apparently. Then we go to Van Vicious with the Holiday Click versus Trace Lee Hunt. Van Vicious gets the win after a torture rack slam and a fast count from personal Hollywood Click ref Ray Ray. Then we get a tag team champion match between Country Rock and the champions, the Posse. Simon of the Posse hits the roll-up and a handful of tights for the win to retain the titles. If you were in attendance there, you got to see a moon at that point. Then we go to Austin Lane versus Matt Williams. Austin Lane has to get security to bring Williams out of the locker room. Lane wins by a countout when Williams escapes another attempted pile driver by Austin Lane and rolls out of the ring and runs back to the locker room. Then Nick speaks out on what happened to her at the Gauntlet for the Gold 2. The Hollywood Click trashed her car, stole her gear, and jumped her in the back all before she could get out there because in her debut match she pinned Dirty Diana Taylor, or Dangerous Diana Taylor, cleanly in the middle of the ring. Then we go to our main event, which was Memphis Wrestling Internet Championship match between Zay Washington and the champion Zicky Dice. Zay misses a 450 splash, but recovers to hit a Death Valley driver, followed up by another 450 to become our new Memphis Internet Champion. After that, his tag team partner from the Young Goats, Aaron Roberts, comes out to congratulate him and then immediately attacks both him and Zicky. So we'll get to see some build-up. We got to see some build-up there, and I'm excited to see what goes on there because the Young Goats were a formidable tag team in Memphis wrestling.
I love the name, too.
Yeah. And then we go to the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We open up with a Golden Qualifier match between Slice Boogie and Danny Limelight. And these guys went, I think, about 15 minutes, and it was everything that you would expect from two partners. It was a good back and forth the entire time. Slice Boogie ends up getting Danny, though, with a handful of tights on a quick roll-up to advance, and Danny was kind of just like, I gotta respect that, man. You did what you had to do.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. Then we go to Alex Gracia and Savannah Stone versus Milo and Johnny Robbie. Gracia and Stone get the win. Savannah Stone looks like they could be possibly building her towards being a viable opponent to Marina Shafir down the road. She comes out there, got the same kind of attitude and stuff, and she was definitely the powerhouse of this tag team matchup. Then we jump to a segment with Megan Harmon and Jack Banning and the Institution. Banning is 2 wins away from the NWA World Championship, and after he wins, the Institution will use that power to infiltrate our homes. This guy is firing on all cylinders. I love what this man is doing with this faction that he's got with Hunter Freeman and Brandon Devine. I don't know if you've ever seen the Tom Hanks movie The Burbs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the son in that, the tall, quiet one, I believe he went on to play Malachi in the Children of the Corn movies.
I had a cat named Malachi after that movie. Go ahead.
But Brandon Devine and Hunter Freeman look like a science experiment of splitting the DNA of that guy.
Oh my God.
While they're standing there. The Institution and Jack Banning is a solid reason to watch Hollywood wrestling if you're not watching it for any other reason than just him and what he's doing. This man is a star. I high praise for him. Then we jump to another segment with Megan Harmon and the Embassy with Prince Nana, Invictus Cash, and Jordan Clearwater. The Golden Boy had offers from all over the world, but the Embassy had the biggest check. This was an opportunity to shine the light on Jordan Clearwater where the NWA is failing to. He did the majority of the talking in this. Prince Nana had a spot there at the opening, but Clearwater carried this, and he carried it. He picked it up, threw it on his shoulder, and ran. The kid can talk. Get a mic in front of him in the NWA.
Wow.
Then we go to Lord Crew with Halston Body and versus Dom Kubrick. Kubrick gets the jump at the beginning. He gets in a shot on Halston Body, his former manager in the body shop. But Lord Crew is just too much in the end. He hits the Earth Shatterer and again made short work of his victim. Then we go to a segment with Jack Farmer and Zicky Dice. I think Zicky may have had a little booger sugar in his fanny pack this week. He was a little amped up there. But then we get Joe LaQuasto. While Zicky's talking about how he's done defended twice and he defended it against EJ Sparks, Joe LaQuasto comes out and hits Zicky with the fact that the UWN committee was so happy with EJ Sparks' outing that at the golden opportunity, we will get a rematch between EJ Sparks and Zicky Dice.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to that one. EJ Sparks is another one that he came out of Championship Wrestling from Arizona, I believe. And he's another one to watch. He's not a big guy, but the stuff he does in the ring is phenomenal. He is crisp, he's young, and he's definitely somebody to watch. Then we jump to our main event between Frankie Kazarian and our United Wrestling Network world champion Jordan Clearwater. And this was a battle. Again, another showing of just how good Jordan Clearwater is. Both of these men pushed each other to their limits. In the end, Prince Nana is able to crack Kazarian with the title while the ref is distracted, allowing Clearwater to steal the win. But it took nothing away from either one of them, really.
Right.
The commentary team made sure to highlight the fact that Clearwater doesn't need the embassy behind him. And Kazarian, I mean, going in there and having a good match with Kazarian, you can tell when a vet is having to carry somebody, and this totally was not the case. The NWA is dropping the ball hard on Jordan Clearwater all the way around. And Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is picking it up and running with it.
Right. That's what Jay was there. He's telling us, that Clearwater match was killer. As we all know, UWN books Clearwater better than the NWA. They got to be annoyed about how the NWA books Clearwater, I wonder. But something he said earlier about the institution is like they're like Fight Club and Project Mayhem.
Yes.
And that kind of reminds me of Control Your Narrative. Like that's what I think the Control Your Narrative idea is sort of based on.
Yeah.
It gives me that same vibe, and it's very cool.
But unfortunately, I get for me, the Control Your Narrative Fight Club vibe is more the pricky guys that need to feel big, whereas the institution is more coming across as an actual Fight Club type Project Mayhem collective.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I missed it this week. Just life being what it is. So thank you for the recap. Jordan, what is this? Willie says Jordan Clearwater is well. He's with Idiot Mania, Sports Mania. Well, yeah, for now.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'm sure he's having fun in the NWA and he's getting paid. but
he's got all those veterans around him that he's learning from, so he's able to carry that over to the UWN. So if I can't use it here, I've got another place I can go.
Oh, that's it. I was going to do a sort of a "This is awesome, you effed up" segment, but I think we're going to run long, and I really want Dave's fantasy booker to come up here next. All I was going to say is, and the reason I'm just kind of going past it, as I sort of said this last night on the pre-party, the dregs of the TV tapings as we get closer to the pay-per-view for 74 in the NWA, that's just what we get. It's what's left, and we kind of stumble and sometimes crawl for that hot tag to the next pay-per-view, and then it's a house on fire all over again. But what we do get out of that when that happens is all of this talent that we've been talking about now, these new faces that really revitalizes the NWA. And for me, using the analogy that the NWA is like a major league, minor league team. And I mean that as a complete compliment. There are some amazing, no matter what your sport is, amazing minor league teams that people just go bananas for. Sandoval is collegiate booster to the extreme. Think of the NWA as a college team, but we've got these great talents on their way up to the super big time somewhere down the road, and we get some of the older guys coming back down near the end of their careers as well. All I was going to say is, because I don't need to harp on the same thing I said yesterday, but I feel like we get the best of both worlds. And even as we're being critical of stuff in the NWA, and rightfully so, I really have looked at some of these new faces that so many of them I don't know, like the Now, and I'm excited to see some of the people coming to the Burke Invitational, and some of these talents that we've seen even this week, and Brady Pierce, and and other great talents. And that's when they have these dregs and TV tapings. If it's going to give us the opportunity to see fresh new talent and give them that opportunity to take a center stage, I think there's value in that. And I'm glad that they've filled those final days before the pay-per-view with that new talent. Dave, what do you think about the idea of, if you don't have much left in the can TV wise, that you can use some young talent and try to get them over on TV before the pay-per-view?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, we've seen 2 tag teams that are going to be in the U.S. tag tournament that, I mean, they're actual tag teams and they're highlighted. They're not presented as enhancement talent. They're on an even level with each other, if I could say that. Plus, we have possibly a new formation with Brady Pierce and Rush Freeman. So, I mean, they're doing better in presenting the undercard. And I mean, sometimes, I mean, if I'm old, I'll say that. Back in the day, if Hulk Hogan wasn't wrestling on WWF, he would show up and they'd do an interview with him. But not every show has to have your bigger talent. That's what your interview segments are for. Make those interview segments matter. Highlight your champions in the interview segments. Don't waste them in the ring. I'm not saying it's a waste to have Trevor Murdoch in the ring, but when you have these guys that are trying to prove themselves, let them be highlighted 5, 7, 10 minutes. Give us a taste of what the future may be. That a year down the road, who knows, we could possibly see the Country Gentlemen as U.S. champions. They've wrestled separately. Now you see them wrestling together. Hopefully, I'm hoping this next week that they highlight a few more teams so we have an idea of what's in store for the pay-per-view at 74 for the U.S. tag titles.
Yeah.
I mean, give us a sample. It's basically like that. Give us a sample. These teams are going to be in this. This is what you can expect. Here's a little taste of what's in store. If you want to see more, you have to buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, and this opportunity that they're giving these guys, it harkens my mind back to a couple of years ago, and like when I was first kind of tuning back in to the NWA. I was like, who are the Dawsons? I don't know the Dawsons. Who are these guys?
I love them.
Yeah. Well, two weeks after I was in there, I'm like, these guys are awesome. Where are the Dawsons now, by the way? They can join these guys that Willie suggests, who, I think Willie Mack would be a nice re-addition to the NWA as well. But yeah, that's a great point. Like, Jeremy, who do you think who's the most exciting talent like that we're seeing right now, like out of the blue in your mind? Who are your favorites?
I like Larry D. I like that showing by him. That's as you stated earlier, he's a journeyman and he's been around for 10, 20 years or so. Good brawler like that. I like Brady Pierce coming in. That's a good addition. You've got another big guy. Um, the Haley Shadows is an intriguing addition. I'm big on a lot of the people that they brought in. Joe Alonzo was good. Caprice Coleman. You know, I'm quite hyped on a lot of the people that they're bringing in. I haven't really had anybody yet that I'm just like, other than Rolando, he can go.
Yeah.
And Gags. But we haven't seen a lot of Gags lately, so that was nice.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah, we keep it down. Shh, they might hear you.
He already did. He heard me. He heard me before I said it.
Yeah, he's calling you out, Jeremy. Rolando's coming for you. Yeah, bye, Rolando. Says,
oh, and Willie, you're awesome.
Yeah,
Willie. He put in the chat that we're awesome. You're awesome, Willie. Thanks for being here. I thank everybody for being here.
Yeah, very, very kind of you, Willie. Doty says that he believes that the Dawsons are still active in the Carolina Indie scene, mostly at AML. I hope they come back. Ears are everywhere. They're everywhere. I believe it, and that's a good thing. Because our criticisms are met with love and they're idea based, and we all love this project. They call the NWA, or we wouldn't be here. Speaking of such, our fantasy booker, Dave Scooby, has some booking idea around Velvet Skies or Tim Storm's title shot and how maybe that might be booked. Over to you, Dave.
Well, I was surprised, but yet I wasn't surprised when Velvet offered Tim her championship series ticket. Seeing what's going on with Aldous, I'm not sure where that's going. If it's storyline, they're keeping it close to the. I mean, they're not spilling any beans. If it's work, a shoot, whatever, but they're going back to the well and bringing Tim back into the wrestling ring now with a championship opportunity.
Right.
He's been involved with the Cardonas.
He has.
Velvet hates the Cardonas.
She does.
So Matt is back from injury. He gets to pick his opponent. What quicker way to get the 10 pounds of gold? He never lost it. He could win that championship. If he loses, he has a backup. If he wins that championship series, if he goes against Tim, but the only way he goes against Tim is for that ticket.
Right.
So basically, I mean, it's almost going back to like Jax Dane. He went in to win the national championship, lost, and then pulls out his ticket. Here, I want this championship belt. Here's my ticket. Whether it's a second chance that same night, or a second chance down the line. I mean, you have to look. There's a lot of the players have been involved storyline wise with each other. You have Velvet and her hate of the Cardonas, Tim interfering in the match, Tim wrestling Cardona back in April or May and losing, that if he won, he could have a chance at the belt again. He lost. but yet now he has the championship series ticket. So no matter who the champion is, he has a chance of going after that. I could see Cardona saying, I want Tim Storm in the ring, but the only way is you put up that championship series ticket.
Yeah. I get to call my opponent. I get to call the match type.
Yep.
And it's for that.
And I mean, it's either
Ooh.
Cardona is making himself the heel again. But I also watched the interview that Gary did with Matt. And it's one of those things of, you think to yourself, wow, Cardona, he's an asshole. But he's our asshole. He plays the part so well that, I mean, who knows? It may be him playing the part. It may be him in real life. But they say the best characters are those that actually use their true self to project their character and turn it up a notch.
Right.
He's turned it up a whole lot.
He sure has.
And I mean, I'm glad to see Tim back in the ring, but Tim's getting up there in age. But he keeps the story going that they have a past. Everybody involved has a past with each other.
Right.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I mean, I'm not going to mark out if it happens, but I will mark out if it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good that they're saying he gets to pick his opponent. And who knows if they're going to announce it before 74 or if it's going to take place. Cardona gets in the ring, grabs the mic. I'm back, bitches. And I'm calling out, and he looks over to the announce table and says, Tim Storm, I want you, but I want you with the Championship Series ticket. That's on the line. I'll give you 2 matches. Drops the mic, walks out of the ring, and there's your match.
Yeah, you know, that is, man, you are significantly better at this than I am, and I would suggest kindly than those that are booking some of the things that we've seen in recent weeks, Dave. Like I would, to your point, even if it's all at 74, because there's no tapings before then. He shows up and goes, I want Tim Storm, and does exactly what you say and wins that thing. Maybe he loses. Like, there's so many combinations. If Trevor beats Tyrus and then he comes out and goes, I'm taking my rematch right now.
And I mean, if
Trevor can beat him. And then, you know what? I still got this thing.
Or he can pass it along that, oh, hey, tag, here, Chelsea, you have a new tag team partner possibly. Go after whoever the women's tag champions are. Or go after Camille again.
Right.
Or, hey, Mike Knox, here, you want a title? Go after Jax Dane. Go after Tyrus if he's still the TV champ.
Right. Yeah, Dave, it's an amazing scenario that you put forth. I can't think of really anything that would be better than that, particularly in my mind. So here's hoping that it happens. Rather hilariously, Kokishi 629 asked if Velvet can be booked into an active volcano. No, she can't. She cannot. We have determined with Tim away from the booth, as Davis pointed out, she's done an okay job and she's very nice to look at. Leave her alone now. Well, we'll get back to her in a short period of time. Willie says maybe put Isle and Tyrus inside the volcano. Well, maybe we can negotiate on that one. But there you have it. That's another show for us. It's the only 1 hour show that takes 80 minutes to complete. But thank you everybody for showing up and being in the chat and participating with us. let me do this. You can find us on Twitter here. Tell them, guys, where else they can find you. Or Jeremy, I think you're just on Twitter, but why don't you lead the charge?
I'm just on Twitter.
Yeah, he's HJWOTS there. Dave?
You can find me on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram at Dave Scooby.
And I'm on Twitter at that handle there too. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, where I'm about to make a milestone. Go to my Facebook page, guys. Sign up to NWA Gold there, which is facebook.com/NWA Championships. Tomorrow night, ostensibly, we will be seeing the OG Alliance guys. They don't have to be called the originals. They are the Alliance guys. That's J Cal, DKM, and Jaden. They're on 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll see if Jay has we'll be making it for that probably sometime tomorrow. And I think that's it. Thank you, gentlemen. It's always great, always fun. And until next time, guys, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.